Hi, and welcome to Off the Shelf with Christine and Katie, where we share with you our recommendations for books to help you build your TBR, that to be read list for the future. This month, in honor of National Libraries Week, we are sharing books about books, librarians, and libraries. National Libraries Week was started in 1958 by ALA as a time to celebrate our nation's libraries, our library workers, their contributions, and to promote library use and support. We have a mixture of historical fiction, fantasy fiction, and even some nonfiction, so we are sure you will find something to fit your reading style. We hope you enjoy these titles and maybe even find a new favorite or two. So maybe you prefer ebooks or audiobooks for some of these recommendations. If you're a member of the Middletown Township Public Library, you're in luck, because you can simply use one of our apps, Hoopla or Libby, to access thousands of ebooks and audiobooks for free with your library card. While both apps do have ebooks and audiobooks, Hoopla also has movies, music, and much, much more. To learn more, simply click the link provided below. If you have any questions, please give us a call, select the reference desk option, and someone will be more than willing to help you out with it. This advertisement is not endorsed by Libby or Hoopla. So, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and let's get to those books. Ding. So, Katie, why don't you get us started with some fiction mystery picks?
Alrighty, so to get us started, we are starting off with a classic. It's The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie. And if you don't know who Agatha Christie is, you should.
Yes.
So this book, The Body in the Library, is about Miss Jane Marple, who is investigating the murder of a young woman whose body is found in the library of Gossington Hall. It's a classic of the mystery genre, and it's definitely a must-read.
Must read. Body in the Library, of course.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Yes. When we show the image here, it's hilarious.
Okay.
Too. And the next one I want to recommend is a very interesting book called Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. And it's a Western and dystopian fiction. And in an indeterminate future where the United States has devolved into a society that resembles the Old West, Esther escapes from an estranged marriage after her lover Beatrice is executed for possession of unapproved materials. She stows away in the librarian's book wagon, a job that I want.
Yeah.
A group of women who distribute government-approved materials to rural settlements. She soon finds out that this group is a front for anti-censorship resistance group, and it sounds really fun.
I was going to say, with everything going on with censorship nowadays,
Yes.
and all, this book is
very interesting.
very timely, very interesting.
Once I found that, I was like, I have to include this.
Absolutely.
So the next one we want to recommend is The Paris Library by Janice Siskelion Charles, and it's a historical fiction. And it's about in Paris, 1939, Odile has her dream job at the American Library, but when the Nazis march into the city, she is in danger of losing everything she holds dear, including the library, which is impossible. Cannot lose the library. Together with fellow librarians, she joins the resistance with the best weapons she has. Books. Books, the best weapons in the world.
Yes.
Insert Doctor Who.
Yes.
I will include the image. And it's a historical fiction based on the lives of real librarians of the American Library in Paris. And it sounds really fun. So the next one we want to recommend is The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. And this one's really interesting because it's a science fiction fantasy horror.
Nice.
And so this science fiction horror is the debut novel for Scott Hawkins. And it's about orphans Caroline and her siblings are being raised by a man with mysterious power, whom they call Father. And each child is tasked with learning their own catalog, such as healing, violence, animals, mathematics, languages, etc. And they are forbidden to learn another. And one day Father disappears, and the children must learn to live without him. It sounds like another Netflix series we've been watching.
Yes.
Okay, and the last one that I want to recommend is called The Last Chance Library by Freya Simpson, and this is a romance. And it's about lonely librarian June Jones emerges from her shell to fight for her beloved local library when it threatens with closure. And although the efforts and support of an eclectic group of library patrons, she discovers life-changing friendships along the way, and it is a Good Morning America book pick.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, and now you're going to introduce your picks.
Okay, so I'm going to be starting off with a historical fiction, The Personal Librarian by Marie Benedict. It's been recommended by a couple of our librarians. I've read other books by this author, and she does a really great job with historical fiction for women. And this one's about Belle DaCosta Green is hired by J.P. Morgan as the curator and librarian of the newly constructed Pierpont Morgan Library. As she acquires valuable works and becomes a society darling, she worries about keeping her secret, that she's a black woman passing as white.
When you told me this, I was like, add to list.
Absolutely. The next one that I wanted to recommend is one that I read quite a few years ago, but I still found it to be a great book, and it's The Air Affair by Jasper Fforde. And this is an alternative history fantasy fiction, and it's the debut novel of Jasper Fforde. He introduces us to Tuesday Next, a special investigator of the literary police in an alternate reality Britain where time travel is normal and literature is taken very, very seriously. People are going into the books and someone has kidnapped Jane Eyre and Tuesday is on the case. This is a great pick for fans of that like quirky science fiction such as Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Terry Pratchett. Next one is one that I'm currently reading, and I'm just absolutely loving it. It's The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu. Oh, I got his name right there. And this is a paranormal fantasy fiction. So Ropa is dropped out of school to become a ghost talker. She now speaks to Edinburgh's dead, carrying messages to the living, but when she learns someone is bewitching children, she investigates and discovers an occult library, a taste for hidden magic, and a wealth of Edinburgh's dark secrets. It's a Sixth Sense meets Stranger Things type of a vibe, and that was on the back of the book. And
that is a great descriptor.
The next one we have here is Ink and Bone by Rachel Kane, and this was also recommended by some of our fellow librarians here. It's another alternate history dystopian fantasy. It's the first book in the Great Library series. And in this, no one is allowed to own books, and scholars control the Great Library, which decides what the masses may know. And of course, nothing and no one is as they seem, not even our hero. Jess trains to enter the library service, but he's also there as his illegal book-selling family's spy. Soon he'll have to make a decision about whose side he's on, and whether knowledge is more valuable and powerful than life itself.
Seems like a very varied story.
Yes. Lastly, we have a
Speaking of varied stories.
Yes, this kind of has a lot of different elements to it. It's called The Story Life of A.J. Finkley by Gabrielle Zevin. Another pick by some of our fellow librarians. Now, so A.J. Finkley's wife has died. His bookstore is in trouble, and now his prized rare edition of Poe poems has been stolen. But when a mysterious package appears, its arrival gives him the chance to make his life over and see things anew. So it's got a little bit of humor, some suspense, romance, but also a love for books and second chances. So that one's another one for people who like a little bit of everything.
Hey, and now for others who like nonfiction, we also have a few nonfiction picks for you. So the first one we want to recommend is one that I know you read.
Yes, I have.
Is The Library Book by Susan Orlean. And it chronicles the 1986 fire at the Los Angeles Central Library and the arson investigation that followed. The book also showcases the larger crucial role that libraries play in our lives and delves into the evolution of libraries, bringing each department of the library to vivid life. And it sounds really great.
Yeah.
And this one is also a title I never get tired of saying. The Badass Librarians of Timbuktu and Their Race to Save the World's Most Precious Manuscripts by Joshua Hammer. Say that 5 times fast.
Yes. This one came recommended to me from a fellow librarian friend.
Yes.
So,
Yes, I remember when we got it a couple years ago, and I was really loving this title. So the book is about, in the 1980s, a collector for a government library, Abdelkahar Hadjiara, hopefully I'm not butchering that, I apologize, journeyed across the Sahara Desert and along the Niger River, tracking down and salvaging tens of thousands of ancient Islamic and secular manuscripts that had fallen into obscurity. But then Al-Qaeda showed up at the door, and Hidara and other Timbuktu librarians enacted a plan to smuggle these treasures to the southern Mali before they were destroyed.
Librarian smugglers. I mean,
it never ceases to amaze.
They're not those two little shushers anymore.
Exactly. There's really no shushing.
No shushing. The last one we have here is Syria's Secret Library by Mike Thompson. And this one is, again, recommended one of our fellow librarians. The small town of Daraya on the outskirts of Damascus lived through a 4-year siege during the Syrian civil war, deprived of food and bombarded by heavy artillery. But beneath this devastation was a hidden library, built with books salvaged and scavenged at great personal risk from the doomed city above. Sounds like another fun.
It really does.
Adventure type. Now, just wanted to make you aware, we've previously mentioned The Book Woman of Troublesome Creek by Kim Michelle Richardson, which is a book about the Packhorse librarians and the Blueskin people of Kentucky. Mm-hmm. But we want to let you know that the sequel, The Book Woman's Daughter, is due to be released the first week in May, and it's going to continue that story. So if you like that book, be on the lookout for that one. Now, we have a few more picks we just wanted to show for you. So, there you have our picks. There is one last book we did want to mention.
Yes.
If you want to know some of what it's like to work in a library, then you really need to give this short book a try. You might read this, and yes, the stories in this are all true. Strange things happen in a library.
Yes, and they are all hilarious stories, and she also has a blog. I don't know if she regularly updates it anymore, but when I first started to work here, I read that, and it's very on point.
It's a quick, fun read.
Yes.
So
if you want more insight into our jobs, read this book.
So there's our picks. We hope you enjoyed them. We hope you find a new favorite or two. If you have any other recommendations of your own, please feel free to comment below. Mm-hmm. We will also have a link to our catalog for all these book titles in case you've forgotten some of them. And if you're looking for a more personal recommendation, there will also be a link to our book request form, which you could fill out, and somebody will give you items tailored to what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. We hope you join us next month, where we're going to switch it up a little and maybe do some science fiction picks for
May the 4th be with you.
Take care. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.